Kyler, we're recording already. We are recording today's meeting for the sole purpose of producing written minutes, which will become the official record of this meeting. In order to eliminate any background noise, which can be affecting the quality of the sound on OHA's live stream, making it difficult to hear the speaker, please mute your device's microphones until you are called on to speak. At the prompting of the chair, BAE staff will do a roll call to determine quorum at the beginning of every meeting. 5 board members present in person and virtually constitutes a quorum. Roll call votes will also be called to determine the board's position on committee matters. A simple majority of committee members will be present to constitute the position on any matters that require a vote of its members. Trustees who are joining us by Zoom, please enable your cameras for the duration of the meeting, if you're able to do so. All other OHA staffers, please enable your cameras when you need to address the committee members. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. When recognized by the chair, please proceed to speak. Lower your hand and mute your mic when you are done. Now, for those trustees joining this remote meeting from a private location, such as your home, please state the name of any person 18 years of age or older who is present with you at your location. Trustees, if you need to leave the meeting, please inform the chair by announcing that you are leaving the meeting. Okay? Before we officially call the meeting to order, I want to take this opportunity to say how pleased we are today to welcome the students of Halau Kumana, a Hawaiian-focused public charter school dedicated to providing a culturally enriched and learning environment that empowers our students and emphasizes the importance of Hawaiian culture and education. Now, I want to really emphasize the word empower, because that's what this committee is all about. The Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. So to have you folks in the room is really, really important. I also want to take this opportunity to welcome tech-savvy teens who are here to share in the day. They are an initiative focused on bridging the digital divide between generations. And the program equips students with the skills needed and to turn them into teachers of digital literacy for kupuna. So, and I would also invite Trustee Ahuna, if you'd like to say a few words about Halau Kumana, because you're so close.
Well, I just wanted to welcome all the students here, the Hamana here. Yes, I started off at Halau Kumana at the University of Hawaii, Hawaiian Studies program, and then we moved to YMCA, and then when I was the program director there, we moved to Paradise Park, and then from Paradise Park, we ended up at your location where you're at now. And before I left, I got to hire 2 great guys, Imai and I'm sure I don't see Imai here today, but you know, he was one of the last hires that I hired way back. And Willie Kawai was the other one, but I think he's with the University of Hawaii. But I just want to say it's great to see our Hawaiian-focused charter schools. We understand the struggles that charter schools go through, per pupil allocation, funding, how it works. The reason why we jump around, we don't have school facilities monies. The monies is just not there. And now with this new president, I'm sure you guys are here to talk about all the concerns that's going to be upon all charter schools. So good luck, and we're here to listen to all of you, and just thank you for really being here, because it's important to listen to our Hamana. It's great. So thank you guys.
Well, Trustee, appreciate that. I mean, who knows, everyone? We're probably looking at could be a future governor, perhaps a U.S. senator, perhaps a Congress woman, man. I say woman first on that one. Or maybe an OHA trustee. So we thank you folks for being here today. You folks, this is a very exciting room for us. I can speak, I think, with confidence for the rest of the board too. Okay, so let's do business. Here we go. The March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment is being called to order. The time is now 9:12. Leanne, please call the roll for attendance.
Trustee Ahuna,
Ew.
Trustee Akaka,
Ew.
Trustee Akina,
Aloha mai kako.
Trustee Alapa. Not here. Trustee Kahele is he's not excused, but he's having technical difficulties, so he'll be here as soon as he can. Trustee Lindsay is also coming later time. Trustee Souza,
Ew.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Present.
Chair Galuteria.
Ew.
I have 6 present, which constitutes a quorum.
I will say that Trustee Kahele has spent the last couple of days up in Washington, D.C., so he is actually in transit coming back from D.C. and will be here to chair the meeting tomorrow. He went up there to, frankly, get some answers to some of the questions that our students at Halau Kumana have to ask us today. Okay, so we're very pleased to be able to share some time with you folks. So joining us today is our OHA COO, Kehau Pu'u, along with some of her administrative staff. I'd like to call on Kehau to introduce those staff members joining us today, please.
Mahalo aloha kia ke kaluna ho'omalu na kahu waiwai na haumana o ka polokalamu o Tech Savvy Teens me na ke kula ho'amana o halau kumana na kumu na kanaka o ke kaiaulu a me na limahana o ke ana kuleana Hawaii. Ea no mea ui ke la both online and in person. We have Chief Financial Officer Ramona Hink, Endowment Director Ryan Lee, Financial Interim Corporation Counsel Everett Ota, Interim Senior Legal Counsel Nichi Ozawa, Senior Director of Strategy and Implementation Elena Farden, Senior Director of Hawaiian Cultural Affairs Hailama Farden, Director of Advocacy Lena Alalei, Director of OEV Wellbeing and Aina Momona Ku'ike Kamakea Ohelo, Director of Education and Culture-Based Learning Ku'ule Anuhea Awo-chan, Director of Community Engagement Lisa Von Sekona, Director of Communications Bill Brennan, our IT System Engineer and Administrator Daniel Santos, and IT System Engineer and Administrator Arlene Aguinaldo. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo a lot. Okay. Let's proceed to the next item on the agenda. Before we do that, I'd like to review our public policy guidelines. Firstly, public testimony should be limited to matters listed on today's meeting agenda. If issues are raised about items not on the agenda, this will be called out of order, and I will direct you to limit your testimony to the item currently being considered on the agenda. Your name will be called and your microphone will be unmuted when it's your time to testify. If you're not audible when called upon, you will be muted and the next testifier will be called. State your name, organization, if applicable, agenda item you'll be speaking on as well. Oral testimony will be limited to 5 minutes. A timer will be on the screen to count down 5. Your mic will be automatically muted once you've completed your oral testimony. Okay. So let's proceed with new business. I'd like to ask Lena Ala Lei, our Chief Advocate, to come and join us. And while we're doing so, I'll proceed with how we're going to be handling the next several items. Firstly, members, we're going to be deferring items A, B, C, D, G, and I. And the explanation being as many of the bills on these matrices are still the same with no changes at all. But I will leave it up to Elena Olla to comment on anything that you'd like. We will be discussing items E, F, H, and the action item as well. Okay? So let's proceed Members, I'm going to need a motion. Okay, this is to adopt the approval of the staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting natural resources. Correction, Native Hawaiian housing as reflected in Matrix 5.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by trustee Souza, second by trustee Waihe'e. Do we have any testifiers today on this item?
Chair, we do have Beach, but I'm not sure which item, if we've deferred the item that he wanted to speak on.
Is Eric on the line?
Yes, but this is
Okay,
so no.
he's not going to testify. He's just,
Not right now. Okay, Lena, Allah, please proceed with whatever you need to share.
I'm happy to answer questions. The new bills for Matrix 5 start on page 2. The blue ones are the changed positions. The yellow ones are new bills. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any questions on any of the new bills. Flag item 10 on page 3 is the DHHL bill that we discussed last week that we had a testifier 2 times ago that asked us to add this to support. This is a $600 million allocation to DHHL to accelerate construction of housing to address the wait list. And it has moved out of its final committee on the House side, so it's moving forward.
Any questions for Matrix 5? Hearing none. We have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Let's move to the next item. Okay. Okay. Let's move to Matrix 6. I need a motion to adopt the approval of staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian health as reflected in Matrix 6. Do I hear a motion?
So the changed bill position starts on number or page 7. There's just one, and then the new bills on this matrix start on page 8. If there's any questions about the new bills or the change of position.
Members? Question on any of the bills on Matrix, the Matrix we're paying attention to, please? No? Yes, trustee Akina.
I'm looking at SB 119. Could you just clarify OHA's position on that bill?
Do you know the item number for that one?
Should be on page 35. That's item number 5.
SB 19, not 119, correct?
No, 119.
Oh, 119. Okay.
Item number 5 on page 1.
I see SB 119 relating to nursing.
Yes.
Okay. That is the bill to establish a Bachelor of Nursing program at the Maui College campus. And so we are supporting it as part of our initiatives to increase access to healthcare in rural communities.
Good.
It's understood that, people who go to Maui County College on Maui are usually going to stay in the community and serve the community. And so this is, and nurses are in high demand. So this is part of that part of our MIMO strategy to support access to rural healthcare.
Thank you, very good.
Any other questions, members? Okay, hearing none, let's take a vote on the motion that's on the table. Oh, do we have any testifiers? Kalamai.
No testifiers at this time.
Okay, very good. All right, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Nay? Okay, the motion's passed. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next item, which is H. Okay, I need a motion to approve the staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting Native Hawaiian economic development as reflected in Matrix 8.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any testifiers on this? No testifiers. Okay, Lay, proceed, please.
So 8 is starting on page 2. There's a number of new bills, and then as you can see, there were quite a few that died, didn't make it through crossover. So there's just 3 new bills and 1 change.
Sir,
of
get closer to the mic, please.
Oh, excuse me. So there's just, page 2 has the change of position and then 3 new bills. And then there were a lot of bills that died. They didn't make it through crossover. So I don't know if there's any questions on the new bills or the change of position.
Any questions, members? None? Okay, seeing none. Let's take a vote. So we have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none? Very good. We've passed that. Let's continue on. Okay, now, members, this is going to be an interesting discussion, I believe. It's about an action item 2504. We need a motion establishing a working group to examine and consider the transfer or partial transfer of Native Hawaiian burial sites duties under Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 6, from the Department of Land and Natural Resources, State Historic Preservation Division, and move it over to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now we can have some discussion. Lei?
So as set forth in the action item, this is an idea that has, been bounced around at the ledge and has come back several times. We cite in the opening of the resolution, there was actually an article published by Halealoha Ayau in Kawaiola, I think back in 2021, about having the Native Hawaiian burial component of the State Historic Preservation Program transferred to OHA as a agency that might be able to better carry out the kuleana of protecting Native Hawaiian burials. There was also a bill moving at the ledge this year. It was to let Department of Hawaiian Homelands conduct its own HRS Chapter 6E review. And kind of unexpectedly during Water and Land Committee hearing, one of the representatives put into the bill to have OHA take over the Island Burial Council component of the program. So this, like I said, is an idea that keeps coming back. And we actually testified and had that removed from that bill and explained to the representatives that we were going to be introducing a resolution to look at the transfer of duties from the State Historic Preservation Division to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, because it is, as you can imagine, it's not a simple proposition. So to have a bill just abruptly transfer the Native Hawaiian burial component to OHA would be really disruptive. There needs to be, if this were to happen, it needs to be planned. It needs to be with full information from the agencies about, the impacts, how this is going to happen. And, the burial or the action item sets out some of the duties that we might, you know, be required to handle if even in just under a partial transfer of duties. It's on page 3. It's a list of 5 items, but this is, sorry, this is just an example of some of the duties that might be included that could be transferred to OHA. Because again, the working group proposal is to examine transferring some of the duties or all of the duties, because it's a big program. So it could include administering and supporting the island burial councils that we're already familiar with, because we do the nomination process. So that would include processing applications for recognition of lineal and cultural descendants. That's something that the IBCs have jurisdiction over. If someone submits an application to be recognized, the IBC is the body to approve them. It would also include providing training and support for the IBC members on their statutory and administrative duties, because again, these are citizen members, right? They come forward, they have cultural background, they're aware of Malama Iwi practices, but there's a whole statutory regulatory program they have to function under. So it would include training those citizen representatives about the statute and their duties under it. It would also, for example, include recording Iwi Kupuna and registered burial sites, because one of the things the statute allows for is some families actually want to have their burial sites registered if they are discovered. So then future property owners would have notice that they're not allowed to disturb those burials. So that's a whole process in the burial conveyances to go and make sure those are registered. So that's another administrative component of the program. There's a whole historic review program and that's part of the proposal to look at. So that would include having staff who would be most likely archaeologists who would review project proposals from developers or private homeowners and look over, you know, are there likely to be historic sites? Are there likely to be burials? Make that initial assessment, work with the landowner to do an archaeological inventory survey. And there's other things enumerated here that you likely read. I'm just emphasizing the scope and the scale of the duties and why we need a working group to look at this if it's going to keep coming back, because the last thing we want is this to happen in a haphazard way. If there were to be legislation introduced again where it's saying, okay, OHA, you just take over the program. So the working group would have members from OHA. The proposal is to have 2 members from OHA, 2 members from SHPD. So these are the agency representatives, you know, who could be asking the questions about staffing resources, costs, you know, what is the infrastructure that's necessary to administer the program. And then it's also proposed to have 1 representative from each of the island burial councils, because the island burial councils have their own perspective and knowledge of what you know, some of the problems from their perspective have been in the administering of the program. The burial councils at times have, you know, raised different issues related to training, related to support. Trustee Galuteri can speak to this, to having the AG even come to meetings, because one of the requirements for these publicly noticed meetings is that the burial councils have an attorney general there to advise them, and often they can't even get the attorney general to come. So the burial council members have their own experiences that they can share about what are things that need to be strengthened in the program. And then the last proposed member would be from the primary repatriation organization that OHA has actually worked with a lot, Hui Iwi Kuamo'o, and they are also a recognized they have familiarity not only with the state historic preservation laws, but also with NAGPRA and the federal laws, because there are often actually interactions in the state historic review process between state law and federal law. So they also bring that expertise. The agency reps have that as well. But again, it's a community-based perspective on these statutes and how they work together. So I don't know if there's any specific questions, but the resolution has been reviewed by community members, and they have indicated that they're willing to support this resolution. And I've also had conversations with SHPD, and they are supportive of this proposal. Again, it's not to take over the program, it's a working group to examine the best way to any transfer of duties could happen, and whether it would be beneficial to the Native Hawaiian community to have that transfer happen.
Okay, mahalo for that. Before we open it up for questions, do we have any testifiers for this matter?
Chair, we have Jermaine Meyer.
Okay, is Jermaine on? Hold on 1 second. We're having a hard time. Jermaine, are you there?
Aloha, Chair. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay. Chair, I was raising my hand because I thought it was going to come to community concerns. But in regards to this, so I do want to come back during community concerns to speak on that agenda item. But in regards to what is being discussed right now, I had attended the House, I attended the House Bill 1087 hearing, and I believe that that's what this is in concern to. But what I wanted to express about this is that, and I'm not sure if administration had shared because I just logged on, I had some issues, but that when the hearing happened before JHA, OHA did not provide testimony regarding the version that was being discussed, which asked OHA to have oversight over the burial council. So I'm glad to see that OHA is proposing to put together a working group at this time in order to address that for partial or full oversight over the burial council. And I'm just looking forward to future presentations by the working group. Kea kuapu, God bless all of you.
Mahalo, Jermaine. Okay, members, any questions? Trustee Wahe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's more a question of just the process. So it says that the RESO would encourage the establishment of a working group to consider the transfer or partial transfer of the burial council duties to OHA. So when that group finishes whatever work they're doing, I guess they're going to offer some kind of opinion or recommendation. What happens then? It would then go to the ledge for a bill, I guess.
So the way it's proposed as it is right now in the resolution is that it would actually get introduced to the OHA Board of Trustees first.
Okay, that was my question was, we're going to have a chance to chime in on whatever the recommendation is. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, members? Trustee Aquino.
Thank you, Chair. Lena Ala, you've raised some appropriate concerns that the working group will necessarily have to look at, particularly the staffing and the costs. Do we have any idea, and I realize it's very preliminary, do we have any idea as to what SHPD pays right now to carry out the functions that have been outlined and where that funding comes from?
I'm not sure. Actually, I've talked about it with people in administration who would know. I don't think we have a clear idea of the cost of funding the program. And, one of the recurring issues that has been raised is that the program is underfunded. So even if we had a baseline, it's not necessarily the ideal number to administer the program fully and completely. So I think, we'd want to look in the working group both at what is the current cost and really what is the cost to do it right, so that it isn't seen as a impediment, or slow or not meeting the needs of the community. Because right now it's getting squeezed from both the developer side and the community side. And part of that is a resourcing issue.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask that question so that we would keep in mind that this is not merely a working group to develop a policy. It's a working group whose conclusions may have a significant impact upon our operations at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. This is massive. And when you think of being the administration of everything involved. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. Thank you very much for those comments because I was going to follow up, if you will, with the fact that it's almost a paya in itself
Yes.
to bring something that massive over to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And I would hope that, of course, the cultural acumen, the administrative acumen comes over too, along with the legal acumen. I sit on the board, the OIBC, Oahu Island Burial Council, and as Lena Ala was mentioning, we often had a hard time getting legal acumen to address some of the issues that hit the table. So would that reside with the Office of the Attorney General, or would we bring it over within the infrastructure of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs? These are questions that we got to ask, not especially, but equally important is the funding has to follow the kuleana. So I know the working group is going to bear that in mind once they start. Yeah. So all of these aspects, bringing the cultural acumen to the table, and those with standing as well. So any other questions before we move to adopt? No?
Trustee, I did
Leila?
have those, I did have a few proposed changes that I think Kyla has the overhead for, but I had, I talked to Shipty further after we had to publish last week, and they flagged 3 paragraphs that they thought were, unnecessarily critical of the Historic Preservation Division, because again, some of these things are just in the nature of their duties and not being fully resourced. So I can read into the record, and Kyla also has them on the overhead, but I'd like to, so that, the focus is on being proactive and looking for solutions. And we do cite the Borough Site Working Group, which does, if someone is interested in a more complete review of problems with Shipty's program, they can go there. But for purposes of the resolution, I'm proposing to take out from page 3, lines 13 to 14, that says, whereas the State Historic Preservation Division has been the subject of numerous lawsuits and audits. Also page 4, lines 9 to 13. Do you mind scrolling down, Kyla? I can read into the record what those changes are. Whereas many within the Native Hawaiian community, especially lineal and cultural descendants, have expressed concern with inadequate action by the State Historic Preservation Division concerning the inventory and protection of Native Hawaiian burial sites, among other problems. And then the bottom of that, page 4, line 24, to page 5, line 2, which reads, whereas despite calls for assistance from Island Burial Council members, the councils continue to be inadequately staffed and trained. So again, similar information is available in the working group, but rather than kind of position this as an agency versus agency issue, which it's really not. It's about what is best for the administration of the program, what would best serve the community. So the proposal is to take out those 3 paragraphs.
Okay, very good. So you're suggesting amendments at this point?
Correct, to delete those 3 that were just read into the record.
Okay, which is part of the motion.
Yes.
Okay. And members also, and those in the viewing audience, and for the purpose of the working group, the chair wants to recommend that we review the statute itself. The statute, it appears to be very vague in the sense that sometimes there are unethical actions with regard to those who actually care for, or those who are looking to be leadership in this, in the areas of, and this is, I'm not trying to be cute, but it could be a niche industry in the area of consultation. So if you're sitting on a burial council, you should not be a consultant for a major landowner. And we've seen it time and time again. So the governor, to his credit, he's tried to wean that from the council. If we're going to be taking over this, we got to take a look at some of these actions. And so this chair would want to advise the working group to take a look at the statute itself. Okay. Any questions, any discussions anymore before we take action? No? Okay, seeing none for the motion to adopt and adopt the amendment for the approval of establishing a working group to examine and consider the transfer of partial transfer rather, of Native Hawaiian burial site duties under Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 6E, from the Department of Land and Natural Resources, State Historical Preservation Division, and move it to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, we've moved. Thank you very much. Mahalo nui loa. Okay, let's move to community concerns. And before I ask Halau Kumana to come up, I'd like to, if we can go back to Jermaine and her community concern. Thank you, Lenaala. Mahalo nui. Jermaine, are you there?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I am. Is it okay to give my community concerns?
Yeah, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers. I'd like to focus my community concerns on Matrix 2, OHA position on bills naming OHA, even though the committee of board members are being asked to change its position on 2 items highlighted blue and confirm its support for 2 items highlighted yellow. Administration cannot take action because Matrix 2 is not included on tomorrow's BOT meeting for board ratification. Next, I'd like to discuss item 6, Senate Bill 903 SD1. At the last BAE meeting on February 19, Senate Bill 903 SD1, the OHA Global Settlement Bill, to settle all future claims against the state, it was listed on Matrix 2, highlighted in yellow, with a description stating short form bill, and the position cell was blank. It did reflect the fact that when the agenda was published on February 13, the SD1 version was not posted. However, the next day on February 14, SD1 was posted, and a joint hearing of the Hawaiian Affairs and WAM committees were scheduled for February 18 at 10 a.m., the day prior to the last BAE meeting on February 19. My concern is that administration disclosed to the trustees at the last BAE meeting that BAE Chair Galutera and BOT Chair Kahele approved for OHA administration to submit written testimony with comments. This transpired without BAE committee's approval and without BOT board ratification. My next concern is that administration was not transparent about the fact that Chair Kahele attended the joint Hawaiian and WAM committee hearing with her to provide its written testimony on behalf of OHA's Board of Trustees. During the last BAE meeting, Trustee Hulu Lindsay was allowed by Chair Galutero to speak first. Trustee Lindsay proposed to take position to oppose the bill. I consider it a proposed motion. Yet BAE Chair Galutero did not administer or acknowledge her position to oppose the bill for the committee's consideration. Further, when Chair Galutero allowed Vice Chair Akaka to share her comments next, Vice Chair Akaka voiced the same concerns and opposition. Yet Chair Galutero continued to ignore trustees' concerns. At this point, administration, BAE Chair Galutera, and BOT Chair Kahele shared their views that it's best to just watch and wait before taking a position. My greatest concern is that administration failed to share with trustees its written testimony that it submitted to the joint committee to consider, which included the following statements on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees. OHA is open to the idea of a working group to discuss procedures for settlement discussions between the state and OHA concerning future settlements. OHA's written testimony also stated, OHA also asked the committee to set the composition of any future settlement working group at 9 members, an odd number, to avoid deadlock in discussions about the option available to the state and OHA to engage in its settlement negotiations. Then in his closing paragraph under the header, Working Group Composition and Procedures, OHA's written testimony states, to avoid a deadlock in decision-making, OHA respectfully suggests an amendment to designate that 5 members be appointed by OHA's chairperson. I remind the committee 5 trustees in a meeting constitutes quorum, and that would constitute a full board meeting that a simple majority vote can take action. These are egregious actions taken by the BAE chair, the BOT chair, and administration. I recall Senator Kim explicitly stated during OHA's budget briefings before the session started to make sure before OHA's administration comes to the committee hearings that they have the approval of the full board in regards to OHA's testimonies made by administration. Ke akua pu, God bless all of you.
Okay, mahalo. Mahalo, Jermaine, for your concerns. Okay, let's continue on. Now, this is, and for the members here and for the viewing audience, this is the committee that handles legislative matters or many things that happen during the session. So just to bring everybody up to speed, the legislative session, and this is because we're leading up to our next concerns, which is halau kumana. You're going to come up next, okay? We have a 60-day legislative session. We're at day 36 right now. Tomorrow is what is called the first crossover. It's a milestone for a legislative process. It refers to the deadline by which a bill must pass its originating chamber, either in the House or the Senate, and move to the other chamber for consideration. So it's a big thing, and it affects much of what we talk story about here in the committee. However, there is a pressing concern that many of you students at Halau Kumana have expressed to me via email. And I believe that, we take the current federal situation seriously and where the funding comes from for the very programs that you folks are involved with. And, OHA will be taking a look at ways that we can too help and step up based on what's going on with the federal programs. Now, our chair, Kahele, she's coming back from DC. And we're going to be discussing a lot of this tomorrow. But for the benefit of this committee, you folks are able to help us set the tone for our dialogue on these matters. So I'd like to introduce and invite the members of Halau Kumana who are going to come up to speak to come up now. I think that Anuhea, Kule Anuhea, are you here? Oh, yes, please. Why don't you come and give us an introduction to those who are going to be coming to speak? Okay? Come now, you folks. Who's going to speak?
Chair, I have a list of, they're going to go in groups.
Oh, okay.
So I'll call them out when it's
You're going to
time.
call them up?
Yes.
Okay, prior to that, Kule, could you just give us a little preface of what we're about to hear?
Yeah, aloha mai kako, mahalo trustees. Today we have the 8th grade class of Halau Kumana Ko Kula Uka with their Kumu Tiffany Ng and Kumu Bradley Hughes to testify on some of the impacts that federal funding freezes have had on their curricular programs, their culture-based and aina-based learning puaka'i that they attend, and some of the other activities that are supported by federal funding. So they wrote letters to Office of Hawaiian Affairs, they wrote letters to legislators like I believe Senator Schatz got some letters from them that were read in DC, and I'm sure other places as well. And so they're just trying really hard to share the impact of what's happening to them at their school in particular, but I am certain that it's happening at other of our schools as well, that our Hawaiian Focus Charters and probably AINA partners and maybe even Kaiapuni schools are experiencing some level of difficulty and uncertainty in this time. So we asked them to come and speak in addition to the emails that they sent.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mahalo. Okay, Leanne, who's our first testifier?
Okay, they're going to come up in groups of 3, and they're all going to say something within their 5-minute time limit. And I apologize to any Haumana that I mispronounced your name because I can't read the writing too good, but I will correct them for the minutes should that happen. First group is Liliane Ordegaro, Kiali'i Pacheco, and Christian Tang.
Please come forward. Aloha. And you want to press the speaker. There you go. Okay. And get right up to the microphone so everybody can hear you, okay? Okay, welcome. Aloha.
Aloha mai kākou. O Liliana Ortega ko wino no hila mai au no manu uanu. I'm in my 3rd year here as a student at Halokumana New Century Public Charter School.
Come right up to the microphone, okay? So everybody can hear you. Okay, there you go. Beautiful.
And I'm in the 8th grade this year. Halokumana is a Hawaiian-focused charter school. We base our learning on Aina. Aloha Aina is very important to me because thanks to Halokumana, I do it every day, and it has become a mindset and lifestyle for me. At my kula, we celebrate the opening and closing of Maka'iki, La Kuokoa, La Ho'iho'i'ea, and other Hawaiian holidays for our Lahanau, for our Mo'i, Hawaiian Mo'i, where we go into the community, perform protocol, Oli, Dansula, give ho'okupu, and more. This past year, I personally gathered the resources to make lei and ho'okupu for my papa or class to place on the lele or altar for lono at my kula. One of my favorite community events that Kumana attends is the Onipa'a March. I look forward to the march because Kanaka from the community and from different kula come together as one lahui to remember Queen Liliuokalani's steadfastness for and aloha for our lahui at the time of the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy. The big problem, or part of the reason my classmates and I are here, is because of the freeze on federal funding. It is affecting charter schools like Halokumana on many levels. Before I get into that, however, I want you to know that Halokumana is already in a deficit. Kumana receives 65% less funding per student compared to a regular DOE school. We have to rely on grants and federal money to make up for these insufficiencies. Back to the problem. We depend so much on federal funding that its loss makes me worried that Halokumana could be shut down or go solely online. Finally, the last problem stemming from the freeze is we won't have enough money to go on Huaka'i Week or even our Alohaina Education Days. Let me explain. At Kumana, Huaka'i Week occurs the week before spring break, where each papa spends 5 days on a neighbor island or Oahu. My class this year, Kokuluuka, will travel to Kauai to work Aina and Pila'a, Haena, and Kilauea, go on a hike in Koke'e, and learn from cultural practitioners such as the amazing Pelika Andrade. Next, Alohaina Education Days are 1 day out of the week where we leave the classroom to go into the community to work Aina in Wahipana around the moku. In January, we hiked Pahole in Waialua to visit a kahuli enclosure and learn about the efforts to mitigate its disappearance. We have even got to have lunch on the rim of Makua Valley. The federal grant, Bay Watershed Education and Training, or BWET grant, funds our Huaka'i Week and Aloha Aina Education Days. This has been threatened, which is a loss of about $530,000 for us. I would like OHA to please help Kumana in any way make up for the loss of the BWET grant and help Kumana strengthen our Hawaiian language, cultural education, and Ike Hawaii programs.
Oh, mahalo. Mahalo. Now, what was your name again and what grade level are you? Come up close.
O Liliana Ortiguero Kouinoa, and I'm in 8th grade.
8th grade.
Mhm.
Okay, mahalo. Okay, who's next? You're next. Okay, turn on the microphone, go straight up, and you can slow down a little bit too. No worry. And state your name and your grade level first, okay?
Aloha kākou, o ke ali'i o Kalani ka oamo ko'ino, no le na'i mai au noho au ma Halawa. I am also a haumana in 8th grade at Halau Kumana New Century Public Charter School. This is my 2nd year at Halau Kumana, and I have learned many things at this school, not only this year, but last year. My favorite memory is from last year in March when we went to Molokai. Today, I would like to ask for funding to build a technology center at Arcula. This past week, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands approached Halau Kumana about providing us with video equipment for a technology center where Haumana can use the equipment to receive training to create podcasts, interviews, and any other creative educational media. In the week prior, Liliuokalani Trust visited Halau Kumana to inquire about the ways they can serve our Haumana. Their new building on Ward Avenue and King Street will be opening in the fall, and they would like to service Kanaka youth. My single ask that I'm bringing to you is not just about funding and construction toward educating Native Hawaiian youth, but it is also planning for the future. For the sake of our lahui, imagine the potential for success if large entities, OHA, LT, DHHL, and hopefully one day Kamehameha Schools, Luna Lilo Trust, and so on work together to move forward. Mahalo.
Mahalo to you too. Very well done. Very well done. Okay, and our next speaker is, please.
Aloha, o Christian Tanko Inoa no Palolo Maya. I am in the 8th grade at Halau Kumana. This is my first year at Kumana, and to be here at OHA in my first year is a great opportunity for my entire class and my school. To me, Halau Kumana is a great opportunity for a lot of people such as myself. Two of my favorite memories are working with Aloha Tree Alliance planting 70 a'ali'i in the Kuli'o Trail and the vision of forestry and wildlife, or DOFA, to weed and plant native plants in Moanalua Valley. The freeze on federal funding has been hard for me. I love this school because it's not like any other school. I wish that none of this would even be a problem. I hope that we stay as a school and I don't get removed from my home because the federal funding was frozen. And I hope that OHA can help us. At Halau Kumana, our classrooms are balancing on metal rusted stilts, and I personally think that we need better buildings because you never know what would happen if a storm comes and washes everything away. We can expand our school and build stronger classrooms to house our students and have enough room to maybe partner with UH Manoa, agriculture and sustainability departments to do the work that we do and also bridge pathways to prepare us for college. Mahalo.
Mahalo, well done. Mahalo, everyone. Before we move on, members, do you have any questions for our young speakers? Oh, yeah. Trustee Ahoe.
First of all, I appreciate all your testimonies. You know, I know that you guys don't know me, but I know you guys, but your study on your stream project in Pololo is very good because that's where you come from and you learn from right behind your backyard. I remember your presentation you did for me. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember that. Yeah, and you too. I remember the presentations that you guys did. But my question is, When you guys do these Aloha Aina Waka'is, do you guys also meet up with other charter schools and stuff like that?
We don't really meet up with much charter schools. It's mostly only us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just was wondering. I remember you guys coming to not Halau Kumana, but on Kauai. That's why I remember you guys coming to our school. So I just wanted to say that that is very good that you guys visit the other charter schools too. I think that's a very important part of what you guys do. So they have the EK too, the kids that live around their areas. So thank you guys. But
Thank you, trustee. You know, technically, we're bending the rules, but this chair will take the hit. Okay, so trustee Souza.
Mahalo Chair Galutario and mahalo to the Kumu and Haumana for being here today. I'm gonna raise my concern or comment on their community concerns, Chair. But I would take the rap if anyone called this out and us being able to communicate with the keiki firsthand in the room. So mahalo again. I got your emails. I got your from multiple different keiki here in Haumana. And that's what prompted me to write my article for March in the Kawaiola. And mainly at this point, as we kind of stand by and watch to see what's going on the federal level and uncertainty of funding, right? Especially for charter schools that OHA has been supporting. And we've supported, I think this last run was about $6 million to 17 different charter schools across the state. And I wrote the article because you guys had reached out. I apologize that I didn't get to respond individually to each and every one of you, but this was my way of kind of bringing awareness to the situation right now and sending it out in the Kawaiola. And then moving forward, I would like to figure out ways to be strategic and how we can approach this and continue to support, because I know it would be the consensus of the board to continue to support these programs and be right there and fill the gaps where needed. And so I pledge that I will be there to support, and I'm sure the other trustees will as well. So mahalo for being here. 8th grade, are all of you in 8th grade? Right on. My daughter's in 8th grade, so I understand. So thank you guys very much. Mahalo.
Hello, trustee. Leanne, do we have any other testifiers or speakers?
Yes, we do. The next group is Kamalu Zablan, Kava'a Bruce, and Kalani Stefko.
Okay. We're happy to have you folks here. Appreciate it. Okay. Why don't you get in front of the microphone? Okay, so everybody can hear you. Get up close. If you want to stand up, stand up. That's okay. Just push them down there. The microphone. There you go. Okay. Go ahead. Proceed.
Aloha mai. O Kamaluhia Zablan Kuino no Kamikimayo. I am an 8th grader at Halau Kumana Public Charter School, and I have been at Halau Kumana for 2 years now. Halau Kumana is special to me because it is not like your normal DOE school. Every Thursday we go out in the community and kokua people and organizations. I like how we get to go out and help plant, weed, cut wood, build rock walls, and many other stuff. In January, along with Aloha Tree Alliance, our class planted 70 a'ali'i trees along the Kulio O Trail. One day when I have a family of my own, I would like to show my children these plants. Today, the problem that I want to bring to the attention of this committee is the federal funding freeze. The monies that Kumana receives from grants help pay for the Aloha Aina education days, like the day we went to Kuli'o'o. The freeze also affects our yearly trip off island, where we learn about Wahipana, Work Aina, and meet community partners or Po'e Aloha Aina and practitioners. This year, my classmates and I are going to Kauai. My papa Olelo Hawaii actually found Olelo No'eo, Mele, and Mo'olelo about the different Wahipana that we are going to visit there on Kauai. It is one thing to read about these Wahipana on paper, but putting our feet in the Aina, working alongside the Po'e Aloha Aina, who have given their lives to these Wahipana, and cleaning Aina, are way more meaningful to me as a Kanaka. The freeze means we won't be able to pay for plane tickets, food, and other tents and other essential needs for camping and surviving. We would ask OHA to help with funding Aloha Aina education days, our Huaka'i Week, our cultural and language programs, because we could teach more people about Hawaiian culture to make sure that it thrives, and even build our own curriculum to create spring and summer programs about Hawaiian culture and language. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui loa. All right. Okay, who's our next speaker, please? Please proceed.
Aloha pumeana kako me ka puka ana a ke kau ana o kala. O ka waa kaukahi Bruce Ko'i no makiki mai o a ka noho wau ma haki pu'u. I'm an 8th grade student at Hello Kumana, and this is my fourth year at this school. One of my favorite experiences at Hello Kumana is the annual Makahiki Festival. I love Makahiki because it allows me to participate in traditional games that date back to the times before Hawaiians arrived in Hawaii. My favorite game is O'o'ihe, which is spear throwing. A freeze on federal funding is putting Hello Kumana in jeopardy. Without this funding, we may not be able to continue our special programs that make this school special, such as our weekly field trips or our annual trips to other islands. There's even a chance our school could be shut down. We ask that OHA take part in Hawaii's Congressional Commission and work with federal agencies to advocate for fair funding policies that support the educational needs for Hawaiian charter schools and ensure fairness in how we are funded. Mahalo for listening to my testimony.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui. Did you say you're from Hakipu? Did you say Hakipu?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Say hello to Calvin Ho and the family too. Okay. Okay, who's going to be speaking next? I know we do have one more trio that's going to join us, but why don't you proceed, young man? Thank you.
Aloha o Kalani Stefko Ko'inoa no Pa'o Maiao. I am a student at Hello Kumana in the 8th grade, and my kumu are Bradley Hughes and Tiffany Ng. I have been at Hello Kumana for 2 years now, and me and my classmates are about to go to high school in a month. Thank you, OHA, for helping to offset the 40% per student funding deficit between Hello Kumana and other DOE kula. I'm here to ask for additional funding for dual credit classes. Did you know that they cost more for charter schools than DOE kula? I also ask for help for our kumu. Charter kula teachers have fewer professional development opportunities than their DOE colleagues. Hello Kumana's commitment to building our Olelo Hawaii's program needs increased staffing to support Ike Hawaii instruction. Kumana also suffer from a low teacher-to-student ratio for hands-on learning. Collaboration with community partners and organizations. Lastly, in preparation for the hopeful passing of Senate Bill 199, in which OHA will be responsible for the construction of a long-anticipated Native Hawaiian Cultural Center on Oahu by 2040. I foresee the need to build a bank of approved cultural loea or practitioners who would be willing to teach weaving, lei making, carving, painting, ceramics, and music composition. And so in this intended center, at the same time, Halal Kumana is in need for expert practitioners to teach specialized traditional skills. I propose that Halal Kumana and OHA work together to build a database or an app where approved loea and practitioners have agreed to upload their contact information, among other things, so that our community have access to these specials and beloved artisans. I hope you don't mind me getting personal for a second, but I just want to talk about how this kula has changed my life for the better. For example, before I came to Halau Kumana, I had to take ADHD pills to focus, but now I don't need them. I can focus without them, the medicine. Thanks to the school's hands-on approach to teaching, as well as kumus who are always engaged and are supportive. This kula has also made me more community engaged through our Aloha Aina education days. These huka'i trips encourage us not only to malama the Aina, but also teach us how to sustain our culture, Native Hawaiian teachings, and our resources. Mahalo nui for letting me speak and for listening.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mahalo. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And by the way, you look very comfortable in that OHA dress here. Okay, think about that now. All right. Mahalo, everybody, for joining us. Leanne, we have our third and final trio.
The next group is Kauiki Kalama, Kaiulani Iaya, and Pua Andrade Brown.
Aloha, everybody. Again, give us your name and your class, okay? Please proceed.
Aloha e nā la la o Kauiki Kaikai Malie Kalama Ko'ui Noa. I'm from the Ahupua'a of Waiawa, and I'm currently a senior at Halau Kumana. I have been at Halau Kumana since the 9th grade, and being at this school changed my life. I previously attended various Kaiapuni and Hawaiian-focused charter schools around Oahu. However, none of them place as big of an emphasis on Hawaiian culture and Aina-based education as Halau Kumana has. I am here to share about how funds can help to strengthen the Hawaiian language education program at our school. If Halau Kumana can further strengthen our Hawaiian language education, it would take our school to the next level. This would include funding to pay more kumu olelo Hawaii at our school. I think that the Haumana at Halau Kumana deserve to have olelo Hawaii class every single day because practicing every day makes it easier for them to reach fluency. Because Olelo Hawaii has already been on the brink of extinction once, it is our kuleana to ensure that future generations continue the language of our kupuna. Without the language, there is no culture. So once again, I humbly ask for OHA's support for Halau Kumana, especially during this time. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo. Oh, thank you very, very much. You got it? Okay, wait, hold on. Let's make sure it's on. Okay, come close now.
Aloha mai kako. O Sandy Andrade Brown, Ko'inoa, no hilo mai au, no hao manu uanu. I'm an 8th grade student at Halau Kumana Public Charter School. I've been attending Halau Kumana for around 5 years. Federal funding also makes sure that all students at my school have what they need to succeed, such as personal computers and transportation, so we learn in places beyond our campus. Without this support, many of these opportunities will disappear, making it harder for my classmates and me to continue our education in the best way that we learn. Education like this is essential because it teaches us our kuleana to our culture, community, and environment. Without it, we risk losing our language, traditions, and everything that makes us who we are. Today, my classmates have already asked for funding for Halau Kumana. What makes jobs here in Hawaii that young people such as myself are preparing to apply for once we obtain the right age, experience, and education? I am asking OHA to ensure that when I graduate from college, jobs are affordable, housing will be available for me to stay in Hawaii. You have about 8 years if I finish with a bachelor's degree, 10 if I go on to master's, or 17 should I attain a PhD. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo, plenty. Okay. And finally, aloha.
Ano ai me ke aloha trustees. O ka iolani iaia ko uinoa no Manala Mayel. O ka olau puka ku'umoku o Oahu ku'umoku puni. I am currently a senior at Halau Kumana Public Charter Schools, and I have been at Kumana since the 6th grade. The withdrawal of the BWET grant, which funded our Huaka'i Week program, threatens valuable hands-on learning experiences for our students. Additionally, the freeze of the Department of Interior funding jeopardizes $430,000 for the environmental and cultural education at Halau Kumana. While we appreciate OHA's support, we need further help with equitable funding and alternative funding sources. OHA's help is crucial to continuing continue offering cultural education and place-based learning. I'm here advocating for my kula. Please help us bring more attention to the need for state and federal funding. Since I've been here since the 6th grade and understand the importance of place-based learning, my most impactful experience was our last year Huaka'i to Maui, where we were welcomed onto the grounds of Lahaina after its tragedy. Not only me, but my whole Papa or my classmates have been empowered by this experience and have a deeper understanding of the struggles that our lahui are going through while offering our kokua. Please help us understand, continue providing these opportunities for future haumana. Mahalo no kuho'olohe ana mai.
Mahalo, mahalo. Okay, again, we're going to bend the rules. We're going to go to Trustee Waihe before Trustee Ahuna.
Michaela, is Lady Garrett your mom? Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow.
What is that again? I'm sorry?
Her mom. Yeah, daughter.
Yeah,
Her mom, well, she must be very proud of you.
I think she's actually on this live stream right now, currently watching, but very different view from being here after hours and now sitting here with all the trustees. Aloha.
Wow, terrific. Trustee Ahuna?
Let's move to you, Kalama. Camille, who's Camille to you?
Oh, that's my mom.
That's Andrea and Camille's daughter. So you lawyers right there.
Huh? Oh, don't put that ha on the record.
Yeah, right on.
Oh, it's so good to have you folks over here. You know, I think the one thing the chair wants to emphasize for you folks, you guys are seniors, right? Okay. When do you make 18? Pretty soon. You're turning 18.
I turned 18 in May.
Okay, so one of those things that we want to emphasize and encourage you to do is register to vote. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. Not everybody is going to be a governor or a trustee, but the biggest franchise that you're going to have is your ability to impact what we do, and that is to vote. Okay, you folks vote. You promise us you're going to vote?
Promise.
Okay, we got you on record. Okay, mahalo so much. Anybody else? Any other community concerns? And by the way, for all of the young people in the audience, we thank you so much. You've given us so much energy for you being here today. I'd like to take this opportunity before we call for adjournment to introduce and ask her to come up to say a few words of aloha and perhaps give us an update of what just happened at the Capitol. Our kapuahana, Stacey Ferreira. Aloha, welcome. Okay.
Mahalo, Chair, Vice Chair, trustees. Oh, aloha. Thank you. Mahalo for the opportunity to join in. E kalamai for my tardiness. I just came from the Capitol, where I testified on behalf of Office of Hawaiian Affairs on our budget bill. And I'm happy to report that our budget bill passed unanimously unamended. And so that's great news, and it will keep moving. And we'll see at our next hearing at Ways and Means. But if I may, Chair, I just wanted to mahalo our haumana, our kumu, the po'o for coming. OHA is your house. And it's good to hear your voices in your house. And I want you to know that you are always welcome and that your voices are always valued. You are our future leaders. And I know trustees said that this was the trustee chair, but this is the CEO chair. So there are future CEOs and trustees in this room. So I just want to mahalo you. We just send our warm gratitude for the time that you took, because it's important. And you're valued. So, mahalo.
Mahalo, kapuana. Okay, any other announcements, any other things to cover, any other community concerns? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn. Okay, we got a motion to adjourn the March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment, and to remind the members that we have our next meeting at 11 o'clock, which is our budget and finance. Okay.